Hello, Chris Pate with Papemore Real Estate at Coldwell Banker. You know, have you ever wondered how to interpret those school grades and rankings you see from online sources? Well, I have. I've always wondered how they crunch the numbers and where they got the data from. Well, that's why I asked Joanie Baker to join us. Joanie is the current publisher at Lakeside Living Magazine, a Lake Norman area resident, and a parent. But most importantly, she's also a former educator. So I couldn't think of a better person to ask.
When you look at the rankings for a school, and that's exactly what I did myself, you're going to see Smith Middle School, which I'm making these up, has a 7, say on School Hub, and say it has a 9 on Great Schools. Great Schools and School Hub, they take the achievement score, which is the testing of the school, which could be a 10, because if all the kids are doing well and scoring well, they're going to get a high achievement score. They also have what's called a growth score, which is how the student does from point A to point B. So coming in, most schools, public schools, do a beginning of the year test where they get some kind of data on the kids coming into the school, and when the kids leave the school, they do an end of course or end of grade test. So they have 2 sets of data to compare. The growth score is the most important score to look at. That's where the kids come in and where they leave. So that's actually telling you what's going on in the school, because the only effect on that is the teacher and the environment and the curriculum. So if you look at a 6 growth score and a 10 testing score, which means you basically have really high-end kids coming in and scoring well regardless of what you're doing, if you're somewhere in the middle, you would probably have a 7 or an 8 as a total score, because they average the 2. So a school that has a 3 obviously has issues on both ends. The testing scores aren't that high, and then the growth scores aren't that high. Anything under a 5 is going to tell you there's issues probably on both ends. You're never going to have like a 10 and then a 0 growth score. They're always going to be somewhere in there. So you're going to see most of the scores in Lake Norman are a 5 or above. A lot of them are 9s and 10s, which means they're doing a great job on both sides of that. You have to remember that the kids coming in Lake Norman, in Cornelius, and Huntersville, there's already a higher income level up here, especially because you're mixing in a lot of the kids who come from the lake homes and the more expensive neighborhoods. So you're going to have kids coming in scoring high from the get-go, because that's just, we have parents who pay for preschool and supplemental services that other kids don't have the opportunity for, especially in Charlotte. So you're going to have kids scoring high. If you see a 5 or a 6, it's probably because one of those aren't matching. Either the growth score is high and the testing scores are low, but as soon as you click in and look at that, it'll tell you why they have that score, and then you can look at the reasoning behind it and how they do the ratings. But no, a 5 or a 6 doesn't mean run for the hills, apply to every charter school that you need to, or pay for private school. It just means there's some issue in between, and one of the issues that I see in the public schools is that you have these really high kids coming in that score high, but you can't push them on to the next grade level because the EOG and EOC testing wants them tested at that grade level. So they have a hard time giving kids extracurricular content that's going beyond what they're supposed to know for that grade level. So that does happen. You'll have kids who score super high who can't move any higher than a 99%. So a lot of that is figured into those grades as well.
Thanks for that thorough explanation, Joanie, and for donating your time and advice. If you have any more questions about this subject matter, contact us at the information provided at the end of this video.